guys, welcome to Multiverse. Oh, just on cue. Today we're going to try to play the Shadow Golem, the new Shadow Golem mission that's been added to the game. And you can get a sneak preview at my Sunshine Superman. Although depending on in what order I release my videos, maybe you saw it already. If not, enjoy that sneak preview. So basically, they've added a new weekly bounty mission to the Justice League Dark DLC that you can get from this little console here. So let's pick it up. Dispelling Darkness. So let's accept. But before we do that, let's take a quick look at our friend, the supply officer here. So basically, they've added a couple of new rewards. They've added the Shadow Haunted Flames, which we can get a nice preview here. And they've added some new henchmen. It's the Shadow Minions. It's 50 Demohedron. It's not that expensive, so it should be easy enough to purchase for most people. And also they've added a Void Orbital Strike. Sadly, the Void Orbital Strike is a random drop. I don't know if it's a random drop in Justice League Dark or just a random drop with the new bounty. I guess we'll have to figure it out. Although if it's a random drop, it's probably a rare one, so the odds of getting it are probably pretty slim. Whenever it had those rare drops, I have to admit so far, never got any of those. I usually end up purchasing them from the broker. So let's go take a look at the giant Shadow Golem. So it took me a while to figure out where the Shadow Golem spawned. Actually, I was invited to a group, and then when I went to where the group was, that's how I was able to find the Golem. It's not very far from where we get the missions. I was looking in the park, I was looking all over the map for the Golem. Turns out that I was trying way too hard. The Golem was fairly close. You can see the Golem puts those pools of shadows. There is some of the Van Helsing consumables. There's a handful of consumables that we can get from the Lamp of Van Helsing, and some of those consumables protects us from the shadows from the vampires, if I recall correctly. And it seems that those shadows pretty much work the same way. So some of the Van Helsing consumable could be useful in fighting the Golem, if you want to. Obviously, you don't have to use a consumable, especially today. Today, there's a lot of people who are trying to farm that bounty. The one drawback from bounties is that, and that's what's happening today, is that people will farm and farm and farm the bounties until they get all the feats out of it. Basically, I think the top feat, as you can see, if you defeat it once, you get a feat. I think there's if you defeat it 5 times, 10 times, and 50 times, I forget, but it's something kind of like that. And there was a bit of lag. Sadly, when you start the fight, sometimes it takes a while for the Golem to appear. So there's a few times at the very start of the fight where I was knocked out because I just couldn't see the Golem. So there's a bit of lag when the Golem first appears, and there's a bit of lag also when there's a whole bunch of pools of shadows around the Golem. Not sure exactly how the pools of shadows work, if there seems to be some that spawn all around the Golem, but I don't know if there's just a few pools of shadows that spawn at random, or if it spawns underneath each player's. Those shadows can hurt quite a bit, sadly, so you have to get out of there quick, or the healer has to be on point to keep you alive through the shadows. Of course, a good shield will help for that. And if you have a quantum tunneling like I do, it's quite useful to first get out of the way, or if somehow you don't get out of the way, the shield should protect you at least a bit. Right now the pools are not really the issue. There seems to be an attack or two that when the Golem makes those attacks, it's pretty much a one-shot kill, at least in my case. Maybe a tank could survive those. Oh, that was a close one. Maybe a tank could survive those that one-shot attack, but I wasn't able to. But as I mentioned, sometimes there's a bit of lag, so sometimes I'll see the attack too late, or sometimes I'll spawn. One thing also that you'll see is that people will phase. Basically, they'll go through different phases, and then they'll tell other players on the chat, okay, phase with me, and you should be able to fight the Golem. So that's how people are able to farm the Golem. They go to different phases, and then they tell people, okay, the Golem is on me, a phase where I am. and that's how we used to make the bounties in the Age of Justice DLC. I don't know if some of you guys recall in the village in the Age of Justice DLC. Basically, you would look at the chat or at the looking for group, and people would say, okay, Grundy is on me, phase to where I am, and that's how we were able to play those bounties way back when. There's a bit of the same phenomenon that happens with Golem, but with the Golem, it's people who are farming to try to get the feat for defeating the Golem 50 times. Also, there are people who are farming the new Orbital Strike. There's a Void Orbital Strike that's been added to the game, and that can drop when you defeat the Golem. From what I understand, also there's a whole bunch of people who are selling that Orbital Strike from the broker. Like you can see here, Flash dude, I forget his name, is saying phase to me. So basically, we phase to him, and then we can fight the shadow golem. Although as you can see right now, I don't even see it. It takes a while before the golem actually appears, and the same with sometimes some of the effects. Sometimes, like you can see, a whole bunch of guys got the one shot, probably because they couldn't see the golem or they couldn't see the shadow effect on the floor. It's sad, but it happens. I guess they tried to put too much stuff in this one fight, and in this case, the PS4 has a hard time keeping track of everything. So basically, people could go to different phases. So you phase to them, and that's how you're able to farm the golem if you want to. And that's one of the sad things about the bounties, is that usually on the first few days, people will farm those bounties. And after a week or a couple of weeks, no one really needs those bounties anymore. So it becomes a bit more difficult to be able to find people who still need those bounties. And as you saw, I switched to controller. One more DPS probably won't make that big of a difference, but the debuff should be able to help everyone. Even sometimes, I'm not sure if there's a list check. Sometimes there's not just a whole bunch of heroes, but there's also a whole bunch of villains. Right now, there's 1 or 2 villains. So the debuff will lower the defense of the golem, which will help everyone, not just the people in our group, but even as you can see, there's multiple groups in here fighting the evil golem. So whenever I cast the debuff, it doesn't just help my group, it helps everyone. So that's why I switched. I thought that we had enough DPSs, so I thought having at least one controller probably couldn't hurt. So you can see all the pools of shadows. Again, there is one consumable in the Lamp of Van Helsing that protects from those pool of shadows. I forget the name of it, you guys are going to have to look it up. So today and for the next few days would probably be the best time if you want to farm for the golem, if you want to be able to get the feat for defeating the golem 50 times. There's people who did the same with Doomsday. The golem seems to work kind of like Doomsday, so a lot of people did the same with Doomsday originally. And I have to admit, I regret a bit not doing that, because I'm stuck at like defeating Doomsday like 60 times. I still need to defeat Doomsday 40 times, and right now finding people to defeat Doomsday, it's not that difficult, but it's not as easy as it used to be. And I assume the same will be true for the golem. Right now, getting people to fight the golem, easy enough. But in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, not a lot of people are still going to be farming the golem, as far as I can tell. So that's pretty much it for now, guys. This was a video about the Shadow Golem. If you have any questions, feel free to ask so in the comment section down below, and I'll see what I can do about answering your questions. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.